I joined Uzi Works Group just for educational purposes. And then the Accelerator opportunity came along. And I said, well, I'm not really looking for outside investment, but I need to learn. I need to be prepared. But boy, did I learn. It was a tremendous eye-opener. I mean, all the subjects, all the valuable speakers, it's been an education. I'm an old guy now, but I'm telling you, I learned such a tremendous amount. And I'm going to put it to use. And it's been an unforgettable experience, learning from so many and meeting so many good friends. So all I can say is go for it. You'll never appreciate how much you're actually going to learn. Get into it if you're considering it. It's a great program.
Thank you, Andy. I really appreciate that. And if you could also talk just for a second about, you were one of the projects that got to pitch at the end. And I'm going to talk about this in a second. Like, this is not a competition. It's all based on merit. But can you tell us like what that experience was like? I mean, you practice pitching. I know, you did it a couple times. And so, how do you feel where you were when you started versus where you are at the end, and what got you there?
Well, I mean, I've been presenting all my life in my business career, but this was one of the most terrifying. But it was great. It was because we did practice ones as went along, and keep an open mind. You've got to be able to understand that the comments you get are constructive, and they're from people with experience looking at this. So that's where I learned a tremendous amount, and I really understood a lot about how to find capital. I have no external investors in my business, so I've just had to struggle through on my own. But it kind of I wish I'd done this 20, 30 years ago. So I learned a lot. I've learned the hard way, but this opened up a new thought line for me. So and given the presentation at the end, it was a great experience. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was, by the time you got there, it was all or nothing. And as I said, I look back with great fondness and enjoyment from it.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you, having, and I want to commend you because you really did participate at every level, right? And there are there's instructions that we provided throughout the whole thing, and sometimes they're in depth, and you have to kind of pick through them. Like, I know you reached out to us on multiple occasions to ask about different questions. You really got immersed, and kudos, right? Because that's the type of mentality and attitude that it takes, where, and it's okay to not have that happen, right? It's okay. Like, I also commend the person who came to us and said, you know what, this isn't for me, right? That's empowerment. Like, that's really knowing where you're at and knowing when to pivot and or stop, right? And those can be hard, challenging decisions. But anyway, that happens because you were in it, right? From both perspectives.
And the only thing I'd like to add about that is the homework that you get every week. I mean, I've got long work days, and I've got a lot going on, and I found it hard. It was hard. It did take a lot, and sometimes I'm feeling I was falling behind, and I was letting everybody down. But the support that you and Emily provided and the encouragement, it just kept you going. I had to back out a couple of weeks, but that was just absolutely with my control. But just let everybody aware, it does take time and commitment. You need to do it properly, and but it's worthwhile in the end. You get feedback.
Yeah, and growth comes from that, and that's part of putting everyone in a position where it is a bit challenging and difficult, because money, like, it's so cliche, but money doesn't grow on trees. And even if it did, people would be like, hey, you can't just come up and take my money, right? So you got to put in time to like get through the gate and help people understand why you want it, and what, what I mean? Like, this is a resource. And especially when we're talking about private capital, I want to really note that, the investors that we had in cohort 1 and the investor that we have in the next one, like, they've worked really hard for this money, right? Like, they've put in decades of work. And so it's not just like, oh, like flying money out the window, right? Like that it's important. And that's why these relationships are really important to us to be able to create, right? So thank you, Andy. I could talk with you for a while, but I know we have 12 minutes left. So really thank you for being here
and anybody can contact me if they want to call me, if they want to call me for a separate chat.
Thank you for that.